Good evening, everyone. Mike Rasmussen here, council member at large. Giving you my update from the town council meeting from November 15th, 2021, just wrapped up. I had to zoom in for the meeting this week because I'm down at a family reunion in Siesta Key, Florida. You can hear the sounds of the waves lapping on the beach behind me, which is great. My family is all enjoying their dinner. So I'm going to keep this quick, and I'm going to go and try and enjoy a little time with my family tonight. So the couple of big items that I just wanted to highlight that were on the agenda this evening, and I've mentioned a couple of these before, but I think it bears remembering. Well, first off, the town approved our budget for 2022. If you haven't taken a look at any of the budget documents, everything is posted up on the town website. It's smyrna.delaware.gov/budget. You can go there and review a lot of the information that's there, look at the line-by-line budget documents. We did a lot of cleanup this year on the way that the budget is structured. In previous years, budget numbers were spread out in a lot of different areas, and it made it a lot more difficult to sort of reconcile some of the budget numbers at the end of the year. The town staff, the town manager, and our finance director have done an amazing amount of work trying to really bring our budget process to a simpler state, and also a way that is a little bit easier for folks to understand, and even us on council to understand, to make sure that the different numbers are accounted for in the areas where they need to be. It's still pretty complicated. There's no doubt a town budget of our size has quite a bit of pieces, and especially when it comes to things like allocating time for different staff members who may be supporting public works sometimes, and they may be supporting the police station at other times, and trying to figure out how we account for all those pieces. So I do plan on trying to find a good way to walk through one of the presentations that the town staff put together with folks who want to learn more about it, or if you have questions about that process, reach out to me. I can try and answer them or get you the right answers, or check out those documents that are on the town website. On another financial piece, so we approved our 2020 audit report. Granted, it's almost the end of 2021, so there'll be another one of these coming up. But for folks who haven't lived in the sort of world, either in nonprofits or municipal governments, pretty much every year you're going to do an audit. And that audit is both a financial audit to look at how are you accounting for things in the right way, are transactions being recorded, those sort of fiduciary pieces, as well as some of the operations and management things that go along with making sure that you have your ducks in a row, and you're protecting the best interest of your taxpayers, your constituents. The audit report came back a few different findings, as we have actually a number of which were already addressed in 2021. These were issues identified from 2020. Overall, a very good audit, and in the end, it becomes a tool for us on council and for the town staff to look at how we are operating and then make changes that bring us more aligned with the best accounting practices and principles that are out there. It's a dense piece. We had a new audit firm this year, which is a good thing. Switch up our audit firm every once in a while, so maybe they look at things a bit differently, they catch different pieces. It's a dense document, though. Again, that will be also posted up on the town's website, and you can take a look at it. The big things on the ordinance side for this month. So one, we approved, this is part of the town's comp plan, a change to, actually it's a creation of something that we're calling the Central Residential Overlay. There are it's a web, I think that maybe even the technical term for it, of different requirements for every single zoning district, especially residential zoning districts. And wherever you live in town, there are rules about the setbacks that your house can be from the street, from your side yards, from the back, how tall buildings can be, the amount of square footage that you can cover on a piece of property, the minimum square footage for a lot. And those are great tools for us in helping to plan out new developments as we look to grow the community in different ways. But one of the things that our zoning districts, our residential zoning districts, never really recognized was that we had a lot of our town, especially the older part of downtown, that was built out before those zoning districts existed. And back when those zoning districts were created, the downtown sort of got broken up into different areas and lumped together. And in the end, it really didn't make sense. So nearly anything you built downtown, you needed to go back and do all sorts of requests for variances and things like that. So what we decided to do was, as part of this, the comp plan, was actually create a central residential overlay district that better represented how homes and businesses look in the downtown. There is a few of these different areas. There's one for a central commercial district that's a little bit different. This one's mostly about the residential areas that are surrounding the core of the downtown market, Commerce Street sort of area. So if you live in those areas, there are some changes, and really what this amounts to is a little bit of flexibility, and there's a lot of people who probably don't need to now come and try and go to the Board of Adjustment if they want to build a new house or to make some changes to their existing property, renovations and things like that that might change the footprint. So it cleans up things for homeowners downtown quite a bit. Another piece that this is one that I have worked on with the planning and zoning staff in town is updating the institutional office research park zoning for the community. So back in the late 90s, the town of Smyrna adopted what we call IORP zoning. And it was when the Duck Creek, the Smyrna Business Park was being created. And it was sort of boilerplate language that a lot of communities adopted right around the same time about permitted uses, what you can and can't do in industrial parks. Over the years, we have allowed a number of businesses to locate in our industrial park that actually don't meet those intents or those requirements in the zoning code. And they're things that we typically now think of as being in industrial parks, like the marine store, like a veterinary office, a gym. And in some cases, the town went back and made like little individual carve outs for those, like when we wanted to put the solar farm out there. But in some cases, those businesses were just allowed to open, and for one reason or another, they didn't get required to meet the zoning requirements. So what we did is we totally rewrote that section of the code, basically, to bring it to a more modern understanding of what IORP zoning looks like, and better embraces the reality that there are going to be not just manufacturing or research businesses, that there's going to be a certain amount of specialty retail and services and things like that, where the best place for them to locate is something like an IORP zoning district. A lot of other communities have had to do the same sort of update, but what it means is that we've said no to some businesses potentially locating in our town because they didn't fit that zoning mold, and we needed to update that to make it easier to accommodate those businesses and really to modernize what we were doing, because we were already behind the times in this. So this is a change that I think was a long time coming, and the town staff did a great job, doing research and putting this together, bringing it to the Planning and Zoning Commission, moving it forward. So thanks to all of them, but it's a good little change that I think can help bring more businesses to our community. Those are the biggest ones. There's another piece here. There's not a ton of work that this immediately means, but we did finally award a Master Parks plan project to a firm, Lardner Klein Landscape Architects. They're out of, I think, Arlington, Virginia. We had done an RFP for a parks master plan for the town. There was a committee that came together to review all of the different proposals and work them back and forth. What this plan does is it sets in motion a process to begin to look at all of our parks. And some of the park land that are parks on our books that folks may not even know of as parks, and to try and think about the best use of those areas. There's going to be some public participation, community meetings and things like that, where folks will come together and try and identify what we want to see in our parks, and then ultimately create some design plans for what those parks can look like. Now that's really important because we can one-off make changes to parks. Like, right, we had an opportunity to update and put in some basketball courts through some funding, which is a great thing that we had a chance to do. But ultimately, if we start to look at really large parks projects, any funders, be the state agencies, nonprofits, they're going to want to see that we actually have a comprehensive master plan for our parks. Because they don't want to fund things that are, a one-off project. They want to understand that their contribution benefits a whole plan for the community, and that there's been public input and buy-in to that plan. So that's going to be kicking off as we get a timeline for meetings and things like that. We'll certainly, I'll mention it, you'll see it up on the town Facebook page and the website. And so there's an opportunity for people to participate, and I'd certainly encourage you to do so. And then lastly, we've mentioned this before, November 30th is going to be our Veterans Celebration. Every year we have the opportunity to recognize some of the great veterans in our community. We're going to be at the Opera House at 6 p.m. on November 30th. It's open to the public. We will be recognizing a group of veterans for this year, unveiling the banners. Those banners are then hung around the town. You certainly see them on most of the major roads. You're going to see some of those banners. So that is November 30th, honoring the veterans. We actually, yesterday morning, this morning, there was an event for some of the veterans that are also our town staff. We had a breakfast for them. I was not able to do that because I was on an airplane. But certainly, if you're able to come, or if not, just thank the veterans when you see them in our community. Yeah, that's the big stuff for this month. There are a number of little things. As always, I'm happy to try and jump in and answer any questions if you post them up here. And I'm going to go enjoy dinner with my family. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care.